Right, welcome back to New Day right here on TV3. Now we're going to be having a discussion which I think is very now and is going to be around for a while. The impact of social media on traditional media. Now, not that long ago it seemed, if you wanted any sort of news, you'd have to wait for the newspapers to come up in the mornings, or you tune in onto your favorite news stations or your favorite TV stations to get your news. Right now, most of the news that happens on Twitter. Most people take their phones, they upload it onto their Facebook pages, and then you're having the newspapers and TV stations sometimes pick up on it. Also, last 2 weeks, they had the Ghana social media rankings, and different media houses ranking at top. But what does it mean for Ghana? How are we going to be utilizing it? Is traditional media going to die out completely? I have two media gurus who are going to be joining me to discuss this. First and foremost, celebrity blogger and a celebrity himself now, Amiel Deborah, and pressure. And so the next day we have the brand woman, a TV presenter, producer, so many titles to go after her name, Anita Erskine. She joins me as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
My chair is squeaking, is annoying me.
Same here.
I hope you at home can't hear it. So no, social media is interesting. Like a few years ago, and it's so quick. Social media was, I remember when I got on Facebook, it was a bit of fun. I got on Twitter, it was a bit of fun. And at some point, it became really viable. Now everything is on social media. Is this the way to go right now? I'll start with Yami. Obviously, it's a big part of your business.
Yes, I think it has become the way to go. And often I find myself answering the question, is social media taking over traditional media? I think in essence, not entirely, because there are people who still like their things in a traditional way. And cleverly, the people who work within the traditional media also evolving and
they're fusing
it, and I think that's the right way to go. Use the social media to reach the people that you can, and also do your traditional media. Some of us have been complaining in social media because when it comes to advertising, we don't get they
don't want to pay.
We don't get the fact checks.
They don't want to pay the money they should.
Especially in Ghana, everything still goes to the traditional media. So I think.
But do you think that will change soon?
I'm hoping it would, and because I think in terms of impact, we're seeing that social media has a lot more impact.
It's instant. It's quick.
Instant, and people can always go back, see, and so unlike if you advertise on radio station, for instance, even if you do an LPM thing, it's transitory, and people must be there to listen. But if I should post something about a company on my Facebook or my Twitter, people can see it, the impact is there, their friends can see it,
they can keep going back to it.
They can keep going back to it. So I think people should embrace the strength of social media, and of course traditional media also has its strengths too.
Okay. Now, Anita, you were one of those people who you stayed away from social media for a while. It's only, I think, a couple of years ago that...
Yeah, in 2014, that's when I got onto Instagram and Twitter.
And, one thing I like about you, you are good on social media. Some people are not. With me, I kind of have my moments. I'm good and I'm bad. It depends. Yeah. But you applied. It's almost like It was calculated how you did it for your brand.
Yes.
Why did you decide to come go on social media after being off it for so long?
I love what Amiel said, which segues into evolution. In order to be relevant, whichever way you want to look at it, you have to kind of split yourself in two. Stick with what you feel is culturally relevant to you. Pardon me. If you want to be traditional, that's fine. But if you then see that your following is also changing, then you have to ask yourself, do I now want to lose my potential following just because I believe that traditional media, I'm old-fashioned, I'm kulu, so traditional media is the way to go. And also don't forget, Amma, a lot of us started our careers really, 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 really early. Now, I don't care what anybody says, but you can choose to die out like this and become irrelevant like this. Or you can choose to still grow older like a fine wine and still try and touch base with your younger audience. So it's calculated in that I know who I am and that I don't look to social media to set the trend for myself. I look to social media to continue the path on which I have created for myself, all the while making sure that it still brings me into contact with that ever-growing
At your fingertips, essentially.
At your fingertips, yes.
Okay, I mean, this Ghana Media Social Ranking awards that came out, you know, I said the way I found out, I was there and then people were posting stuff and I was like, oh, I'm number one. I'm like, okay, thank you. Do I get money for it? I don't know. You know, for
bragging rights.
Bragging rights. But then I think that there's a good side to it. I know there was media houses, there were personalities, radio stations, whatever. I mean, those different categories. Yeah. In terms of the future, do you think companies, brands, well, because I know they also had the different brands, can now know that, okay, well, hey, if and for example, Vodafone is the number one or the number two, would it impact them saying that, well, maybe we should just spend more money on our social media as opposed to advertise on TV or radio? Do you think that could end up hurting other brand areas?
Well, like I said, one shouldn't suffer in lieu of the other. Because I think there are those people who still love watching their television.
Oh, you're reading your newspaper.
You must target those people, and they're the young, vibrant people, even not so young people who are on social media. I know people who are 56.
My mom got on Instagram. My mom yesterday was like, hey, I'm on Instagram. I'm going to be monitoring you and your sister. And I went on, literally, my mom is on Instagram. Naughty.
Yeah. So you don't kill yourself. Just try to reach everybody as much as possible. But you should know where to spend your money in terms of where you think you get the
targeted.
most. Yeah, you target. You know where you think you get the most impact because. People spend money on social media advertising, but they could be advertising to the wrong people.
It still needs to be targeted.
It just depends on how you do the proper targeting, and then you get the impact for. Well, in terms of the social media ratings that came in, it was all well and good, but I think most of it was just based on the numbers. And
it was only numbers, from what I understand. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
It's not so much a good thing because.
Why?
I mean, if you want to, and it's to create the influence. I think the list of people who are influential.
I'm sorry. Yes,
and having the numbers, unfortunately, doesn't just mean you're influential.
Because some people buy followers. I've been told
people
that buy followers,
and then you can tell. You go to your Facebook
and Twitter should do that thing with Instagram. Instagram, about a year ago, 2 years ago,
they cleaned
up people's fake followers.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Facebook, you can do the proper advertising, which is like targeted and then to grow. And and there are people who just buy fake followers, and you can tell sometimes. You go to somebody's page with as much as 50. I don't want to. And then the person has posted something, and there's only just one like. So it shows you that that page is not influential. Wow. It may have a number, but you have to. If you want to do real analysis, you have to go to all of these platforms. They have their own analytics where they tell they tell you the impressions you're getting, the number of people you're really engaging with, and if you have those numbers, then you're able to make something more calculated. But if you sit somewhere and combine Jackie Appiah's Twitter following to, by the way, Jackie Appiah says she's not on Twitter.
No, Jackie Appiah is not on Facebook. The person who's been doing it has been impersonating her.
And then you do a list.
But the funny thing about social media is this is exactly what it does. It kind of breaks down every single barrier. You know, that's the beauty of social media. It's positive and it's negative at the same time. What I love about the influential, the most influential Ghanaians on social media is, Amma, for you, you should see the business opportunities right there.
I am.
You know,
when it's time for me to renegotiate some contracts, we'll be paying some more.
That's what I love about these kinds of things. I mean, I agree with you 100%. But I also think that the message is not just to, bragging rights, I'm number 5. But the message is to say, listen, depending on what kind of industry in which I am, who am I? What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do with this information? Am I going to go now to the big brands and say, listen, I'm this kind of person and I can reach this kind of community.
And I haven't bought followers.
So, you know what I mean? I agree that what would have been great, and you know what, I mean, I was not only with the social media issues, with a lot of award schemes, always communicate on how you arrive at this so that we tend to absorb and embrace you a little bit more. But yes, I mean, if it's in terms of followers, etc., I think that at the end of the day, really, I mean, it's in a bigger sense. That's what our society has become.
I mean, the president is on Facebook and Twitter.
That's what our society has become. We tend to follow the trends, and whatever makes sense today, suddenly we just launch it tomorrow, and bam, accept it, whether you like it or not. But again, I always choose to look at the positive, the positive, the positive. And what can we now do with this information is the bigger conversation.
Here's a point though, but there's definitely a side of social media which is not so pleasant. Whereas before, if somebody wanted to, like, we're sitting here on TV and they're like, hey, this my girl, she's too no. They'll say it behind their screen and I won't hear it. Or they'll write some to a newspaper and then before I would read it like 3 weeks later. Now, Amma, you think you're hot, and the insults, you know, there's that really negative side of, hey, you think you're nice, hey, it's horrible. I can laugh at it. But a lot of times, especially as a brand, as a celebrity, what are some of the negative sides for you that you see when people have such easy access to you?
Yeah.
I get hundreds of messages almost a week.
Well, you know, I'm on air every day, and I'm telling you, every day there are at least 3 people sitting in the reception, either waiting to speak to me before I get on air or after. And the reality is, they believe that as long as you are preaching something on air, that is, you know, we are these people and we're going to help you and whatever it is, it immediately means or automatically means go and see Anita.
Yes.
Now, what social media does in a funny way is also that thing of, well, you posted your picture and I liked it, so which means I'm supporting you, so why can't you support me too? You know what I mean?
Because I use my finger to do
exactly,
this.
but Amma, let's trickle it down to language. There is a way that a fan can say to you, Amma, I really, really don't like your hairstyle. And there's a way you can correct that fan on how to use language. It has happened to me so many times. You know, somebody on Twitter say, hey, why is your stomach so big? And you know, I'll respond and say, you know what? My stomach is really big, huh? Maybe you have ideas on how I need to fix it. But however, I'm still a woman. I'm still very happy within my skin. And you'd be surprised that the response is like, oh, I didn't mean to offend you. So
a lot of times I think I've noticed that some people actually are very rude and they think they're not being rude. Like someone said, I might detest you. I'm like, you detest me?
Do you know what that means?
You need to pray about that. No, I don't mean it because I love you so much. I'm like, then, but you don't use the word detest.
But even with emails, you have to understand, and that's why I always say to my colleagues and my team, whomever it is that I work with, make sure that you communicate a certain way. And don't always do it via email. Email too is social media in its way, because how you write something and the sound might come across as aggressive and harsh. So sometimes, yes, it happens. A fan will send a message and say something like, oh, I don't think that hair suits you. But they don't really mean, I don't think that hair suits you. You'd be surprised. They mean, I like you better with short hair. You know, so social media, it kind of breaks down the barriers. But I honestly don't think that we should take it seriously unless it starts to go borderline stalking and you feel that your security is being what's it called?
Put in jeopardy. Ghana, we don't have those level of stalkers. Am I wrong? No. Or those level.
You think you don't.
Oh, okay.
But God forbid, I look at someone like John Dumelo. Very good with people. Very loving, very warm. It doesn't matter who you are, he'll always walk up to you and say hi. And sometimes I also think about John Dumelo, the bachelor, the handsome guy, and that girl that probably has her room filled with John Dumelo posters. And she thinking that, well, because he's probably been saying thank you to, oh, you look so good.
Oh, and there's a lot of fake John Dumelos too on social media.
So sometimes for me, John, I love you. But for me, sometimes it gets really creepy how, you know, especially when it comes to the ladies, how the guys tend to pass a few comments here and there. I worry that now that
you're misleading
I just took a picture and posted us on Instagram, which means the world now knows that we are hanging out at TV3.
So if they want to do harm to us,
God forbid.
That's why security will not let you in. God forgive you.
So social media tends to do that. But I think we just need to be conscious. And that's why I'm always, you said something about when you post something, you can always come back. And that's the scary thing about social media. You post something and today it makes sense. But you grow up a year after and suddenly it's like, I'm trying to get this job or this opportunity, and that thing I posted doesn't make sense.
That's the thing. I mean, for the average person, take, you know, being because I think sometimes celebrities, we can get away with a lot when you're a person of influence, either or not get away with a lot.
Right.
But I know people who have lost jobs because they've written something very silly on their Facebook page at work, and their boss has seen it, or they went out, you know, on a night out, acted very silly, and maybe they're a school teacher and they were half naked. And they've lost the job.
That one is not worse. That one is not worse than you were somewhere in a very not so cool place. You were in the background. You were not even the one taking pictures, and you were doing certain uncool things. And somebody just took a picture,
selfie,
and you're in the background.
And it can cost you your job.
It
Do you
can cost
think
you a lot.
Ghanaians were aware of that enough? Because in the West, most people, you read about it, this person lost their job or they were suspended. But in Ghana, a lot of us are still having so much fun. I'll tell you a story. There's somebody who came to me appealing for funds to help pay their fees or whatever. It happens a lot. Please, I don't always have money, but sometimes you help people when you can. And then something just said, search that person on social media, and the pimping and the thing the person was missing me. No, and then it actually kind of put me off. It didn't mean the person didn't need that money, but I saw certain things on their page that I thought, hold on,
This guy doesn't.
I'm sure you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay, and maybe he wasn't. Some people pretend.
Yeah, that's true.
So in that sense of, just advice for people who are watching that thing, I'm going to pick up bottles and stand next to somebody's car and pretend I'm living a life on social media. Because there's a dangerous aspect of that too.
There's a dangerous aspect to it. Even just, not how it to harm you, but the image you portray. And, there are a lot of young people who look up to people. And if you're always portraying that high life, that money, and you don't show people how to do it, or even if yourself you're not getting in a legit way, you inspire a lot of people in the wrong way, and everybody is driving expensive cars, drinking,
them business class, there, whatever.
and all the young people want to do that, and now they have to find a means to do that. So then the influence may not end up being very positive, because they will do anything to sort of get that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think maybe for us, and that's why, when you ask the first question of me being strategic with my social media, again, it comes down to what you want to communicate.
That's true.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get it mixed up. Because the moment you start speaking a certain language, by the way, you're following things. I was this kind of person.
You're going to attract a certain kind of follower too.
But I'm also not saying that be all, stiff and whatever it is, it's got to be this way. I mean, once in a while you see it as a party, we're having fun. And the other time you see it as work, whatever. But be as truthful as possible. Because if I go and pose in front of a Ferrari and it's not
my Ferrari.
And then you're running a business, and the next time someone says, they send you an invoice, you owe this amount of money, because then they saw you standing in front of a Ferrari,
acting like it's yours.
Be careful what you communicate. Have fun with your social media, but also be very cautious. And the clicking button, it is just. And now
I accidentally liked someone's picture I didn't intend to. I'm like, my hand just.
It can get scary. It can get scary.
Okay, now I mean, obviously you write about the celebs, and you get to hear a lot. There's a sense of, especially not just Ghanaian celebrities, but celebrities all around the world, putting up a fake lifestyle they don't have. Or trying to show off. I think if Kim Kardashian goes and sits in business class, and she's getting paid for it most of the time. People don't know that level of business at most of the time. But if you've gone to do whatever you've gone to do and go and sit in business class when you post it, is that so bad?
Well, it's not so bad. You're at least there.
That's how you got there. Right? So whatever you did is your conscience.
Yeah. So sometimes I think it's the issue of lifestyle. Sometimes you just want to let people know a bit of what you're going through. Maybe the immediate intention is not to show off.
But we've all been accused of it. I've been accused of showing off. I'm sure you've been accused.
Yeah. I think I have been, but also a lot of people understand that sometimes maybe I'm on a flight and I'm promoting the airline because
but it's your job. You're not doing it for free. I trust you. Me, I won't post nobody's thing for free, please.
Yeah, so I think it comes from different angles, but sometimes it's not immediately to show off. It's just to let people know this is what I'm doing, and I think. Social media allows people to be their own celebrities, to be
everyone's a superstar.
Yeah.
Everyone's a superstar
and
on
all
social
that.
media.
So it depends on what you're communicating, like you said. People tend to know people for different reasons on social media. People know that if I follow this person, maybe I'll get to see all the cool places that you can hang out.
But guys, let's also not forget, gone are the days when you had certain newspapers that just focused on what celebrities
Glitz
were
and
doing,
glam,
glitz
yeah.
and glamour. And then you had your newspapers for which when you picked up, or with which,
Serious.
you know, you picked up the information of the day, and then you had your business newspaper. So social media just mirrors all of that. The only exception here is you can do it in under a second, you know, and someone who otherwise didn't know you yesterday suddenly knows you today. The only thing that what I love about what you're saying is that I don't see what is wrong with living in your own bubble. After all, our lives are created out of dreams and fantasies. I don't see what is wrong with that. If on any given day you think you're a beautiful woman, you think you're a handsome guy, you take off your shirt and just oil it a little bit and pose up a little bit.
And put filters, though, don't forget the filters.
Whatever it is.
So you're shining.
If that is what today would work for you to make you happy,
Feel good.
absolutely, why not? I see nothing wrong with it. It's only when it becomes kind of like repetitive, and that you become this traditional person doing this with your social media. Then again, what social media really does is gives everybody the free will to do as they want.
Everyone's
the
a
bottom line is
superstar.
you. Everyone's a superstar. The bottom line is you, how you want to use it, and if you are willing to take the blame for what happens.
think so.
I always get really confused when you post a certain picture of yourself that is humongously and overly suggestive. And then you chastise people for commenting on it.
Because it's going to
Post what you know you can handle.
That's the
Exactly.
point. But you know, sometimes, okay, I remember last year sometime I was on holiday with my sister. We went around, we were fine. I posted some bikini pics, yeah, I did.
Did some
And-
poll.
But we were on holiday, and you know the funny thing is, if I was on holiday, back in the day, I'll take holiday, my pictures, go
Polaroid.
back, Polaroid, or
Don't
the Polaroid,
print
you
it.
go back, you develop it, and then you show
Yeah.
all your friends. We used to do an album. So now what that does is you do it instantly. Hey, the comments, and you want to show your body, and people took it very personal, because for me, my brand is, they don't look at me that way. I'm seeing there's some other people that if they're in a bikini, but I'm like, I'm on the beach, you know.
Amma, for example,
But people will not understand that.
in your
They
situation,
wouldn't understand it.
in your situation, no matter what they will or they will not understand. I mean, you're a grown woman, so you know what this is going to do to you. So I'm sure in posting that picture, you knew people were going to come.
It
at
wasn't
you.
suggestive
And
though. It was just like swimming.
you were
costume.
on beach. But what I'm trying to say is, no matter who you are, no matter what kind of picture you're trying to pose, if there's a slit here, and like I said, if you're a guy and you're whatever it is, embrace the fact that social media is so open that you are going to get this back. So don't be angry or offended if someone's
it comes
comment
with
is,
it.
it comes with it.
I think
So
it
you
comes
accept
with it, but a lot of times the average person can't. And that's the thing, because if you want to emulate Kim Kardashian in your little corner here, and Kim Kardashian, the amount of insults she gets, most of us will never see in our life, even on one post. And then when somebody comes at you, because
Get offended.
if of us in the public eye, we're used to a lot of it. But when people, your fans, want to copy what you're doing as well, and people go for them, they can't deal with it in the same way.
That's why you're doing a fantastic thing, allowing us to speak about this, because again, you've got a lot of young men and women below 15 on social media right now doing what they think is right because they've seen us do it. So be careful how you use your space.
All right, we're out of time on this. I'm not going to let Anita and Amiel go just yet. We're going to be popping over to the Chop Pot Kitchen to taste the butternut squash soup and bread. Yeah,
like
we've gone
food.
continental,
You like
yeah. But I want to say a big thank you to Anita Erskine and
Thank
also
you.
to Amiel Deborah. It is a very true question we need to think about. The future is now, as they say. And, you know, social media is here, and I think it's here to
Tell
stay.
them to follow me. Tell them to follow
Oh,
me.
but okay. what is your social media handle, Amiel?
So it's Ameya112 on all platforms. So follow me. Follow me.
Okay, Anita, what is
It's
your one?
at the Anita Erskine across social media platforms.
Me, just Google me. That's all. All right, so of course, you know, the question you need to ask yourself is, will social media replace traditional media? I like to think they can coexist. All right, so take a look at this, and we're going to pop over to the Chop